Welcome everyone to our webinar on the ICC Digital Codes Premium. I have started the recording. I will get started here. My name is Phil Anthony. I'm with ICC as a digital code specialist. Also with us today is our senior product manager, Daniel Janicek. And the focus here is we have released a couple new features, enhancement to the platform. So I'll let Dan speak to those after I just give a quick overview to the Digital Codes Premium platform for those of you who may be new to it. We will be monitoring the chat box there. So during the presentation, the webinar, feel free to post your questions there. I'll answer as many as I can directly in the box, and if it's pertinent to the entire group, I'll break in and answer those during the webinar as well too. So I will get started. So with the ICC Digital Codes Premium, all of our digital codes on ICC reside at our codes.iccsafe.org. And if you've been to that website, and you may have used some of the free functionality on it, you are able to view codes, like our I codes and some of the state amended codes. But when you actually acquire a license for Digital Codes Premium, you'll see it's got the nice gold logo there. It will open up all these additional features. So what we've done is, codes have always been printed in text, in print books. But now with the Digital Codes Premium, we've moved beyond those limitations of having just print or even PDF. And these features that we are able to add to it include the ability to have multiple and previous code cycles in there, the ability to highlight, copy, and paste, able to collaborate with creating notes on individual code sections and advanced search functionality. So we continue to add new features to the platform here, and that's kind of what we'll talk about afterward. If you're not familiar with the Digital Codes Premium features, there is that 14-day free trial you see at the bottom there. So on the website, it really is free. There's no credit card required to sign up, and for those 2 weeks, it unlocks access to just about 1,400 titles and the ability to copy paste, use those notes functionalities, and be able to explore all of that. So when we use the phrase Digital Codes Premium, or if you hear us say DCP, Premium doesn't actually reflect the number of titles or the types of titles in there. As mentioned, that's the platform that has the features. So on the DCP platform, you could get a single title, which would be, for example, IBC, International Building Code, or you can get a collection, which in that case, example would be all of the I codes. And then there's different collections like state collections or commentary collections. And as you start adding multiple titles, single titles or collections together, you're probably going to get close to what a complete collection would cost. So we always encourage you to look at that one first. That's the one I mentioned. It has currently over 1,400 titles, and it'll be well over 1,500 as we're releasing all the new I codes over the summer here, though that new 2024 cycle. In addition to the I codes that you're familiar with and the state codes and the commentaries, we do include many publications from the SDOs. Some of the icons that you can see here are the logos. Everything that we reference in the I code will either let you know where you can find that information in one of the other publications, or we have direct links to those. So every piece of content that you'll see and view on Digital Codes Premium does come from that sole source. So it is the authoritative source it comes from. It's all going to be correct, up to date, and authorized to be on our platform. Whether it's going to be included with all the features that we mention of making notes and copy and paste, or sometimes it may be a view only according to what the licensing agreement, or sometimes even an add-on license. But as we continue to expand the number of titles on here, we do try to include as much as we can in the complete, and then we'll let you know what other titles are coming in the near future. And I'll post the link in the chat that has you're able to search for titles on there, and it's got a dynamic counter that continues to show how the complete collection keeps growing. So just as a general overview, you can see that the single titles will vary by the specific title that you're interested in, as the collections as well too. And the premium complete is the one featured there in the middle. For one license, it's the $7.92 annually. And if you're a member, you will see member pricing as you log in to order it. And then there's also discounts for having multiple licenses. And the advantage here is that you could order any amount of licenses and take advantage of that discount of those tiers. And those licenses can be either assigned and dedicated to individuals for their own access, or at the end of after Daniel speaks here, we'll talk about how you can share licenses as well too. So you do have the ability to have them dedicated or to be shared. And then the third and final discount you see at the bottom there is a 3-year plan that is a significant discount as well if your budget will allow you to do a 3-year plan. And I will make mention of this, our Digital Codes premium licenses that we were just referring to also has a DCP enterprise platform. Major difference here going to be these are dedicated seats. So if you have a large organization where it's more important to have some more administrative features to easily load in 50, 100, couple hundred people as users, and to be able to manage and reassign them if they need as they leave the company. But it is the same look and feel. I just want to mention that because there are organizations that feel that the administrative tools here that we provide here is a great fit for their organization. So that is the overview. I know I probably had posed a lot of questions here. Feel free to chat. And before I turn over to Daniel, I'm showing you, here is our website where all the codes are located. And if you haven't used this little feedback button here, we do listen to this. We do read these, and we do make enhancements according to what our users are suggesting and the reasoning behind it. So a lot of these new features that you see that we've implemented have come from people suggesting. So please feel free to use that. As I said, it doesn't go into an inbox that no one reads. We look at it frequently, and we always look to respond and improve our products. So with that, I will turn it over to Dan. And as I mentioned, please post questions in the chat box. I'll answer them as we go along. And if it's something to interrupt Dan, I'll go ahead and do it. But the floor and the screen is yours, Dan.
Sounds good. Well, appreciate it. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, depending on where in the world you're connecting with us today from. Go ahead and share my screen. And I just want to confirm that everybody is seeing the Digital Codes homepage, correct?
Yes.
All right, fantastic. All right, so Phil, thank you for that great overview. As Phil alluded to, Digital Codes is a great resource for the build community. iCodes, the state codes, anything that is adaptable and enforceable across different locations is available in its entirety in free view through Digital Codes. So something to keep in mind as you're looking to reference iCodes, any of the available versions, or any of the state codes that are posted here to Digital Codes. It's an available resource for you and your team to take advantage of to see how the codes are written. That being said, there's also a plethora of supporting information on Digital Codes available within the premium offering. And so the enhanced features, which get layered on to those free view titles, as well as the supplemental materials like our commentaries, our significant changes, our revision histories, that provide that understanding and that clarity to enforce the codes correctly, is going to be part of the premium offering. When you come to Digital Codes, consistently throughout is going to be how the available titles are grouped and available for navigation. We've got the 8 buttons here along the top on the landing page, which can be accessible from the menu as well. So anytime you click on the main menu, which is going to be in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see under Browse Contents, it's those same 8 groupings that users have the ability to drill down into. We have our iCodes grouped by all the different cycles. New iCodes come out every 3 years. The 2024s will be available here in the coming weeks on Digital Codes. We've got our location-based codes. So this is going to be anything that is customized and integrated with amendments for the specific states where ICC works with that state. California, Florida, New York being some of the biggest examples there. And you can see upon clicking through, you're going to see a grid view with the reflective covers and the contents for those titles. Now, everything I'm showing here is from the anonymous view, or the non-signed in experience. So if I go to California, for example, you'll notice I can click through, and using the table of contents, I can view the full contents contained therein without being signed in, without purchasing anything. Same is going to be true if I come back here to the iCodes, and we'll show that here briefly. Same grid view reflecting the covers, and if I were to click on any of these, I'm going to have full access to this content as well. Now, full transparency, it is a lockdown read-only view, so copy and paste, which is a part of our premium offering, is restricted, but the contents in their entirety are available as a reference resource here. And then, as it alluded to, some of the supplemental materials, the standards which Phil had listed out, a growing number of SDOs that Digital Codes is licensing, digitizing, and publishing here alongside the iCodes and the state codes where they're referenced within. So this list here is all of the SDOs alphabetically, and then clicking through to any of these will show the individual standards from that SDO that are available here on Digital Codes. Now, the key difference when we start talking about our supplemental titles as opposed to the iCodes and the state codes is going to be this P icon here underneath, indicating that this is a premium required facet of the platform. So anywhere you see the P icon underneath is going to let you know that that content requires a premium subscription to view. We're still going to have the ability to click through here, but again, the system's going to remind us that premium is required, and you can see here the difference is the table of contents is not accessible without being signed in. The experience here on the right will provide clarity as to how this title is available. This one, for example, is exclusively a part of Premium Complete, so that's where this is going to link us over to that collection tier. It's going to list out everything that's included in Complete, and it's going to give us the appropriate pricing, which Phil had alluded to earlier. For those titles that are available individually, and that's something if we want to jump over here to our commentaries as an example, and if we open up any one of our commentaries, you're going to see the pricing for subscribing to that title individually listed here, as well as any collections or even Premium Complete that it's a part of. So you have the opportunity to compare and contrast pricing and subscribe to the tier that makes the most sense for you and for your team. Going back to the landing page, so we had talked about the standards, the commentaries, which I touched on there briefly. The titles within the commentary is going to contain the entirety of the iCode text, in addition to an editorial description for each individual section. So it's almost like your Cliff Notes or your iCodes for Dummies that is written shortly after the iCodes are published with that editorial passage for each section. The resources here is going to be rich with that understanding, that enhanced context. So this is where we have our code masters, code notes, essentials, revision history, SIG changes. These are all going to be series of titles that talk about how the code has evolved and how those specific sections are relevant or why they're important to provide that understanding. And this is going to be really key to the feature we're going to be talking about here in just a second with Premium Code Insights. But just briefly wanted to show that these would be discovered the same way, and you can see it is going to be a consistent display for those that require premium as opposed to those that have the basic experience available. And then we've also got groupings here by topic. So this is going to be specialization titles for the different segments of the built community. Publisher, as we continue to expand our licensing from third-party organizations. And then our collections here, where the biggest benefit with these really become the price break. These are the set of grouped offerings where it's similar titles that are available within a single subscription. Premium Complete being our largest, but other segments like the Energy Collection, the PMG Collection, or even state-centric groupings are going to give you a better value if there's multiple titles of interest as opposed to subscribing to them one by one or a la carte. And these collection landing pages are really nice because it'll show you how many titles are contained within each collection. It's going to list out what those titles are and even give you the ability to search. So if there's specific titles that you're interested in that you want to confirm as a part of a collection before you commit, you have the ability to do so. Actually, let me jump back. I'll show Premium Complete as an example. Whereas this, as Phil had alluded to, is 1,400 titles plus. This is always growing as we publish new titles to the platform. So kind of nice, it's actually just crossed over the 1,500 titles threshold included within the subscription. If you extrapolate this out, even at the annual non-member price, it's less than $1 per year per title. So it is a great value. And as you talk about whether it's a location, whether it's a supplemental title or an iCode, if you want to type significant changes, You can see how it refines the listing here in real time, so you can see what SIG change titles are a part of Premium Complete, making up those 1,500 titles. Now, as we scroll down when looking at Complete in particular, we do want to spotlight those titles that are exclusive to Premium Complete, meaning this is the only way to obtain access to them. We do get a feed for those that are most recently added into the Premium Complete offering. And there are some titles due to royalty considerations and licensing that unfortunately are not part of Premium Complete. So we do make sure to spotlight those as well. And all of these are available as premium singles, so they can be added onto your subscription, but those would be at an additional tier and additional cost. All right, so I'm going to come back here from our landing page, and I'm going to go ahead and sign into one of the iCode titles. We're going to start from the basic view experience so that you're seeing everything that the content offers from the free view first, and then I'm going to sign in and I'm going to show how that relates to the premium experience. We talked about the 8 green buttons here on the landing page as well as the main menu. The one other piece for being able to find contents quickly and easily is taking advantage here of our title search. By clicking inside of it, you can see it's going to serve up popular titles based on access and traffic across digital codes holistically. We're going to see the building and the residential code tend to rise to the top. But if there is a specific title that you're seeking, you have the ability to type in any portion of the title, and you can see that the listing here is going to refine dynamically to connect you to that title quickly and easily. By clicking on that, I can jump directly to the 2021 International Building Code. What's really nice here is that the system is going to serve up the most recent version by default. Version being synonymous with printings for the print offerings. So anytime there is any printing of a title that is made available, whether it be errata or technical changes incorporated, that version is digitized and is posted here to digital codes. But the real benefit is that earlier versions are always available to you. And this is going to be consistent across any title on digital codes. So especially if you're talking about state codes, how they evolve with errata or emergency supplements, you always have the ability to go back in time and see how that section read at an earlier point. But rest assured that what you're served up by default is going to be the most current version of that text. The description here on the landing page is going to give you more context as to this specific title and what it's relevant to. And then as we scroll down, we've even got some cross-linking here to relevant titles related to this title. And much of this is going to be your supplemental materials again, so promoting the existence of our essentials, our flashcards, our complete revision history, significant changes, etc. Table of contents here allows us to drill down into any chapter or even jump right to any specific section. It's going to bring up that text. What's really nice with digital codes is it is a fully responsive application. So as I manipulate the screen size here, imagine this is a tablet or a mobile phone, your stuff. You can see how the text will snap to whatever available viewport you're viewing it through, and it's going to give you the best possible experience. The other nice thing as we jump back in here to a chapter view is that the table of contents is collapsible, so it gives you full screen real estate towards the text, so that as the device gets smaller, you can take advantage of full width for viewing the content in the best possible means. And that table of contents can be expanded again just with a single click. All right, let me hit refresh here real quick. So as we scroll through the chapter contents, you can see everything is organized here, single column. The TOC on the left will provide an opportunity for you to jump to any section further on in the chapter, or else you've got the scrolling capabilities. As you get deeper into the chapter, you've always got the ability to jump yourself back to the top so that you have context. And I'm really glad that Phil pointed this out earlier because I did want to call out as well our live chat and our feedback tabs. Live chat here during normal ICC business hours will allow you to connect with one of our customer success representatives for any questions or technical issues you may have. And then our feedback tab gives you an opportunity to provide inputs or feedback across your experience. So if there's a broken link you stumble upon, if there's an enhancement idea, as Phil alluded to, we want to hear that because that's how we continue to improve this application for our users. All right, so I'm going to jump ahead here to Chapter 10, Means of Egress, one of the most popular chapters that we see across our iCodes. And as the user is scrolling through, you're going to notice there's some icons appearing next to the section titles. The CDP icon here, which if we open the legend information, is going to give us a description of each one. CDP in particular is going to identify where there's proposals under consideration within the active development cycle. So this is the process that ICC facilitates with the committee action hearings and the public comment hearings, where the changes are proposed for the next cycle of the codes. So each one of these are going to provide an active proposal that would impact the next cycle, or in this case, the 2024 version of the codes. Where this becomes really valuable is as the hearings are being conducted, you not only have advance notice toward changes that may impact how these codes are adopted and enforced, but you have the opportunity to get involved in the code development process and throw your testimony either in support or opposition behind said change. And the other key icon that you're going to see throughout is the P icon here. And this is going to indicate that premium bonus supplemental material is available. Those that have used premium in the past are going to recognize that this icon has been present before. The real enhancement that we've made here is how the information nested within that P tag is presented to the end user. So previously, this P icon would require the user to click, and only after the modal was presented would you see what information was available. This information has now been rebranded as Premium Code Insights, and hovering on the P icon will let you know that Premium Code Insights are available for this section at the end of the section or immediately after the text. And then clicking on this will either scroll you to that line, or again, for the shorter sections, you can just move your eyes down, you see where it's at. But the real benefit is immediately understanding what insights or what bonus materials are available as it relates to this section. This one in particular is going to have information related to code change details and hearing videos. And you're going to see this consistently throughout wherever there's a section with blue text. Now, if we hover here on the blue text, you can see the description is going to let us know this is indicative of anywhere that a technical change, or what's actually these proposals under consideration, gets approved and gets incorporated into the current version of the code text. So what this would be is a technical change from the 2018 cycle where a proposal was submitted, it was voted upon, and it was approved, and there was a change then made to this first exception within 1003.5. If we come down here to code change details on hover, it's going to give us a description as to what this information is that's available to us, and on click, it's going to give us a modal, and again, it's going to remind us of what that description is. This is the full context of that proposal, including the reason statement, the cost impact, and any testimony supporting it around that change and why it was made. It does let us know that the context for this insight is a part of premium, but it gives us a nice, clear, easy CTA to start the premium trial where all of this is going to be accessible to us. And the same is going to be true here of the hearing videos, where we have the recording with that testimony in both support and opposition behind this change, providing you complete context as to where this evolution of the code change came from, and confidence in applying it correctly. And with this code insight, code change details, which is actually sourced from our revision history documents, as well as the hearing videos, are just two examples of where insight offerings will continue to expand. Pulling from that plethora of supporting information, ICC's Digital Codes Premium will be expanding this to include information from our significant changes, our editorial passages from the commentary excerpts, as well as some of our education and training materials like essentials and study companions. So it becomes a really, really strong benefit as users keep their premium subscription active and start to see more and more of these insights appear in line to the I codes and the state codes that they're using most readily. Now that being said, we know what they are, but what does it look like? What's the content in there? Why is it valuable? So this is all from the basic view experience. We know now where to find these and how to understand what content is in there. But if we want to see what the content actually is or how it's presented, we're going to go ahead and flip over here to the premium experience and take a look at that side of the equation. If I'm signing in here with my premium account, you notice my basic is going to flip over here to my premium indicator, letting me know that all the premium features and benefits are enabled for me now. A couple of key changes you'll see right out of the gate is that all of these references to sections are hyperlinked. What's really nice is these on hover will actually open what we call our peek ahead modal. So if it is a short section and there's clear text that the user wants to validate, you can actually see what that text is just on hover without even having to click through to that section. Now that being said, if we did want to click through, it's as simple as a click, and you notice it jumps me right to the section being referenced there for ease of navigation, minimal scrolling back and forth. The other thing that we'll see next to each section is what we call the waffle, the 3x3 grid, which is going to activate our premium toolbar. And this is going to allow us to add annotations, bookmarks, link sharing. So if we wanted to send this URL to any other user, we could do that here just by putting in their email address, as well as printing of this section. And while this is a digital product, we do recognize there are going to be cases where a hard copy reference to this material is going to be necessary. So as a part of premium, we do support that. It is watermarked and copyrighted to the individual whose premium subscription they're signed in with. But either at the section or section and subsection levels, we do have the ability to export this to a PDF where you can either print it or you can send the attachment to another user. And as we scroll back down, we'll come back to our 1003.5 that we were looking at previously. We've got our blue text again. So you see we can hover there, we can confirm to ourselves that was a technical code change. And as we come down here to the insights, now by clicking on code change details, we're actually presented the full context of that proposal in legislative format. We keep our description here, so we've got our context as to what code change details are. We've got our title and our section that this is relevant to, so that even though this modal is covering majority of the screen, we don't lose context of what we're looking at. We have our navigation tab here. This section happens to only have one proposal that impacted it, but assuming there was more than one, these would become accessible just by clicking on the tab to view each of the individual proposals. And then by clicking through here, you'll recognize this format directly out of the revision history document, where it's structured showing the proposals in the sections that were impacted from this proposal, the proponent, and then the specific net change, where in this case we can understand the evolution that in the 2018 version, this first exception item read completely differently, that text was struck through, and it was rewritten with the shorter version referring to the exterior doors in accordance with another section. This change also impacted some corresponding sections, so we can see what that changes as well. And then the context of the value really comes in where we start to read the reason statement, any bibliography and cost impact, as well as the outcome from the public hearing committee and the final action results. So we can track this all the way through its code development process to help with our understanding of the codes. And for each insight that is available as a premium user, we do have the opportunity to provide feedback on this. That information helps us prioritize which insights are being added next, as well as customizing messaging for new insights that users find valuable as relevant ones get added to the platform. In addition to the code change details, we're able to leverage the multimedia nature of the videos here. And rather than these being links which take the users elsewhere to view these videos, we're able to embed directly within the modal. So this is going to correspond to the code change details mentioned previously, but this is going to be the full video from the PCH hearing, or from the CH hearing, excuse me. Where available, the PCH videos would be tagged here as well. And that's going to be visible here right within the modal. And then likewise, you've got the ability here as well to provide your feedback on that section. As we scroll down, you'll notice anywhere that a P tag is present, it's going to be your next opportunity to see code insights that are available to you. Some of these are going to have changes even where there's not blue text immediately available. However, anywhere there is blue text, there should be code change details corresponding with it. And each time you open those, you're going to be able to see the changes and the details behind them. And here's a good example here where there's more than one proposal impacting it. So the tab behavior here allows you to jump from one to the next. And this one's going to have all the context and all the changes applying to both the table and the text section. As I had mentioned, the P tags were there previously. So what you're going to see is this new enhanced display propagate throughout the I codes and the state codes, where you see cases like key changes here, which has been rebranded from the significant change links. Some of these will still have links to the respective revision history. These will be getting updated in real time as our resources work through them. The biggest benefit to this becomes the linking experience prior would open a new tab, but would take the user to the respective title that contained the content. For those that had Premium Complete or a higher level access, the information was fine because it would be accessible. But that being said, someone with Premium Singles or a lower tier may not have immediate access to it. The big benefit here with Insights is every piece of information tagged to the active title is going to be available with the premium experience for that title, meaning all of this information, all of this content is part of the value of premium for the 2021 International Building Code. So for the title that you subscribe to, the value of your subscription increases with these code insights. And if we stay tuned, one of the changes we'll be making upcoming here is adding another tab here to the navigation that'll behave much like the My Notes does. So if we scroll back to the top of this chapter, with respect to notes, the tab here is going to show any section that I've created a note against. And whereas when we create notes, I have the ability to add an annotation, I have the ability to add any note for my purposes, and then I can classify that note, whether it be a construction address, whether it be a topic. The value is as flexible as it makes sense for me. And then when I save this, I have the ability to filter to only show me the notes for a specific project tag. So if I'm using an address for an example, this becomes an opportunity to load up my notes in the office before I go out into the field. And then when I pull this up from my tablet or from my phone, I can say, just show me the notes across this title relevant to the inspection or the project that I'm on site at. And it gives me an opportunity to jump right to those sections. And now I'm seeing just the notes that are most relevant to my use case at that point in time. This filtering will be applied as well to the Insights tab, where you'll have the ability to see any section that has an insight within the active title, and then you'll be able to filter by the specific type of insight. So if I only care about code change details, or I only care about hearing videos, I'll be able to filter and jump to the sections that have those specific pieces of information available to me. All right. So I'll kind of open the floor up for questions there. The biggest takeaway with insights is while knowing what the code is important, understanding the code and applying it correctly is even better. And that's the driving force behind ICC wanting to use that supplemental information to make code enforcement, code understanding, and code research even easier for the build community.
Hey, Dan, what you just explained last, the being able to pull out the sections that would have like a CDP logo in it.
Yeah, so that'll be upcoming here in the next release, but
All right.
it'll be a third tab here that'll be called Insights, but it'll function much like the Notes tab does here. So you'll get a refined list for those sections that have a P tag present, and you'll have the ability to filter. So if you only want to see sections that have code change details, that's what would be available in the dropdown here for the Insights tab.
Yeah, no, perfect. I know it was discussed and it's coming soon. I just wanted to clarify. So there will be another tab there for those premium logos or premium. Well,
There is, correct. Yeah. So we're teasing that while Insights is valuable, this is really just the start of where we go with it. And again, I'll touch on the feedback tab one more time for our test group or for our end users that are taking advantage of this feature. If there's other pieces you want to see, be it text or changes to the display, please let us know because we do take all that to heart.
okay. No, yep. Thanks for clarifying. As mentioned, we keep adding more features to it to make it more user friendly based upon the responses we're getting from our users as well. So I do not have any questions as of yet, what you covered. So I don't know if anyone does please feel free to post that. And then I don't know if you had any other thing related to it. I mean, I can go over discussing how to use the licenses, whether they be dedicated or in groups. And going back, actually, someone has a question, but you also made a great comment too. You said that you could pull notes. You could filter the notes in a particular title by the project tag, but you could go to the My Notes and Bookmarks and you could pull specific project tags across multiple titles in the same way that you had mentioned too.
Yeah, so let's take a look at that. That's a great call out. From our main menu, we had talked how you can use this for navigational purposes to find titles. The next item down under that is your premium tools menu list.
Yep. And
So this
the
is going to
question
be,
coming from that is, can I print them out too? So as you're going through that, mention that.
okay, fantastic. So the My Notes and Bookmarks, as Phil had alluded to, is one of the menu items nested within your premium tools. This is going to bring you to a page that has a roll up. So this is any note you've created across any title within your subscription. Similar to what you see with the Notes tab, you have the ability here to filter this based on your defined project tags. But from here, you also have the ability to filter it by the categories of the titles that you've annotated across, or drill down to an individual title. So if I wanted to make this really powerful, I could choose, let's say, roofs. So I can see all the notes I've created related to roof. You can see there weren't a ton of them, but it does span 2 different titles here. I've got 1 note on each. I can expand this out to see what that note was. One of these apparently was an embedding of a video. The other here was text. And what I can actually do is select both of these. I can give it a custom title if I want. Call this Roof Notes. And I can generate a PDF here, which is going to pull my notes and the text from the section and generate a PDF for me that I can take with as a supporting document. Now, as you can see here, the video, it doesn't actually embed the video on here, but it does give me the URL where I can find it. So I've got access to that even in hard copy. If I wanted to go back, I could change this, let's say instead of roofs, I want to look at one of my other videos, let's say applicability. Let's see what I added across there. How about testing? There we go. I've only got one. I'm looking for one of my heavier annotations here. 123 Main Street. There we go. So this one you can see spans multiple titles. So I can see all those rolling up, including some titles where I have multiple versions. So this lets me know that I have notes across the different versions, but I can pull in both of those for my output report. Again, I can select all notes, which is going to filter through. It's 26 notes total. And I can export this and imagine this is an inspection report. It could be a nice appendix that gets handed off to the individual for which the inspection is being provided. And your notes could be what the violation is and what action items are required to get in compliance. What's really nice here is you can notice even if I annotate a commentary, I'm getting the commentary text included in the exported document here. Okay. And if we scroll to the bottom, we can see this one is watermarked as well. So this is based on my subscription and intended for my individual use or direct use of another individual.
From that page right there, you see what Dan did just to print a PDF. You'll also notice that there's that migrate notes button there too. So all the notes that you've been creating in individual titles, and I guess it will become important here as we release the 2024 iCodes. Any notes that were created in 2021, we will now be able to migrate those into the next cycle real conveniently.
It's a great point. Yeah, so if I look here at the 2018s, I have 6 notes on this one. Assuming I wanted to move all 6 of these over to the 2021 version of the same title, I can actually come in here. I have my option to move my notes to a different version of this book. So this becomes really valuable if I wanted to move it from a first version to a second version. And what it's going to do is just filter the drop-down list here. This one happens to have 6 versions, so I can quickly select one of the other available versions to move my notes over to. Or I can select a different title, and that's where this list is going to get a little bit larger. But I can filter it down by typing in a portion of the title that I'm looking for. In this case, the 2021 International Building Code. And it gives me the ability to individually select the notes that I want to move over or select all. And my 2 options are move or clone. So if I were to move these, it's actually going to remove the note from the 2018 version so that they only exist once, but it would move where they exist into the 21 version. Or clone would allow them to exist in both places. So it'll keep these notes on the 2018 and it'll make a copy of them to also reside in the 2021 version. So as I come in here, I click clone, lets me know I'm about to move a number of notes, gives me a prompt if I want to succeed or proceed. It's checking these against the versions. Based on the fact it's showing 43, it has me wondering if it's checking all versions from the 2018 International Building Code. I'll have to get confirmation on that. But what it's going to do is look to see if the exact same section number and title exists in the new version. If so, it gives the opportunity to move those automatically. If there is a mismatch in any way, shape, or form, it indicates that the text has changed, so it gives the user the ability to process it manually. And it basically just gives you control to say, is this still the section we want this to reside in the target location? So something we noted here on Chapter 5, if we come down here, we look at Chapter 5, General Building Heights and Areas. It looks like it is the same description, but there's something on here with the annotation. Yeah, note for client, so the text this applies to isn't present in the new version. So it's going to ask me, what do you want to move it towards? And because I have an annotation applied to text, it's going to let me choose what text I want to apply it to in the new location, and then click continue. So I can apply it there. I can click next note. Let's see. Skip this one for the moment. Let's cancel that one. I'm going to go back to a different book because that was an older one. I know I put a lot of test ones in here. That's the trouble with selecting testing for a live demo. Let's go with blue here. So we'll migrate this one. A little bit smaller in scope. We'll move from the 2015, and this one we'll try to move these to the 2018 IBC. All right, so we're going to move these notes. All right, 12 out of 36 again, so I can process manually the ones that didn't come over automatically. And it's looking for one with chapter 4. So let's go ahead, we'll move this one on to chapter 401. It's looking for me to highlight text. So if we go 4011, let's put it on this piece. I'm gonna highlight a portion of the text. All right, doesn't want to let me move this one. All right, so Phil, I'm gonna come back to this part of the demo. We'll pick this one up next time. Looks like there might be something going on inside of this specific one right now.
I mean, but the focus is that it's going to do that search if the code section number is changed or where it occurs, so it does attach the note to the correct content section. So,
right, and you can see the wizard, the benefit is you're not manually recreating these every time there's a new cycle. So it allows you to move these forward pretty efficiently.
no, no, absolutely. I haven't got any other questions that, I was just going through our menu items on the left side, Dan, and I know we are announcing about the exams. The digital content for the exams, and I just noticed, yeah, you had that there, and was some updated information. So people do ask, but if you kind of want to give us an update where we're at with that, that comes up occasionally.
Sure. So this is being rolled out as we speak as well. The real benefit here is for anyone who's taking a Pronto exam, which is our online proctored platform. Any of the titles that are references that are published to digital codes will be available to exam takers during the exam without them having to provide a paper copy or a physical copy of that document. So the way it would work, and what's nice is anybody who's signed in will have access to this sample exam to get a feel of the experience. But there'll be a link within Pronto that'll bring you back over to digital codes in a new tab, and it'll give you access to the entirety of the text for that reference title. And what's really nice is while there's no premium features, you do have a search capability here. So if you wanted to find any instance of the word smoke, for example, across that text, you can see where the highlight is going to help you find it and step through any occurrence of that term within the active title. So it is a really convenient feature. You've got access to the experience for the respective title in advance of the exam itself, so you can get familiar with the digital experience even if you're new to it. And while you can't bring your notes in with you during the exam, all of that supplemental material available through Premium and the ability to create your notes becomes a really powerful training opportunity to make sure you're prepared for that exam to get the best outcome. So we've got a subset of titles this is already live on, and the Assessment Center team is working on configuring the references across the entirety of the Pronto exams. So expect an update around that later this month from the ICC team.
Perfect. Thanks, Dan. Anything else you want to show? I'll pull a presentation over to me if you are done.
Sure. I can hand it over to you at this point.
All right. And we are looking to wrap it up here. So if you do have any questions, feel free to post them now. If not, I'll just cover briefly the going back here, the ability to share licenses. So I know it's always people always ask the questions here. This is just from our shop here where we talked about the membership pricing, the quantity pricing, and annual or 3 years. So just as an example here, you could acquire any number of licenses that you want, and these licenses can be assigned to individuals as personal licenses, or they can be shared in groups. So basically what you're able to do is if I were to acquire these 6 licenses, I could put these in one group. You could give that group name out to, 24. Usually a 1-to-4 ratio license is good for moderate use. If you got heavier users, you might want to have more licenses in a group, but basically you could give this group name to 25 people. All 25 people could access that group of 6 licenses. The only limitation would be 6 simultaneous users, the number of licenses in there. So you can always add more licenses if you want to have that provided as well too. But I did want to mention that you don't have to indicate as you're purchasing whether or not you want to share them or have them dedicated individuals. That's just an option that you can configure them however you want and reconfigure them in the future as well too. Had one other questions here. Phone number to call. Yep, I will be the contact person here. And I see we've gone about 45 minutes, so I will wrap it up if there are no other questions. Here is my contact information. I will leave this up. If you have any questions here, I'll still monitor the chat to answer any questions that you may have. But there is my contact information, phone number, and the email address. And yes, if you want to get your organization together with your group of users to ask some more specific questions on how you might be using the ICC Digital Codes Premium, I would be glad to answer any questions you have and do a specific demo for you as well.